1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting a quick mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4 to see if we're getting picked up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got the thumbs up. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Welcome in this Saturday evening. We're so glad to have you with us here at the Atlanta News First desk. We love sharing with you. This is our time when we just finished up our editorial process, digging into some of the stories, talking about what's taken place overnight. You know the drill. And now here we are. We're bringing you this first update in the day. And I want to start with some news that we just got not too long ago. We were able to get you a picture so that we can get this out to the community. This is happening right now. Gwinnett police are searching for this teen you see right here. This is 13-year-old Noel Tapia, and police say that he went out through the back door around 5:30, and he was last seen at the intersection of Scenic Highway and Sugarloaf Highway in Gwinnett County, and he was wearing a blue shirt. Not sure if it was this blue shirt that you see right here that was shared with us in the picture, but he was wearing a blue shirt, sweatpants, with black Nike Air Forces. I'm going to bring that picture up again and make sure that it can continue to play for you guys. And so, again, he was wearing a blue shirt, sweatpants, and black Nike Air Forces. And, of course, if you have any information, make sure that you contact the Gwinnett County Police Department. We are going to be reaching out to some other people in the community who are some advocates that really deal with helping families that are going through this process. I've covered this issue extensively as it relates to missing teens in Gwinnett County. We have seen several more teens in the past several months go missing from Gwinnett County. There's been concerns from the Hispanic community saying that they are worried that some of these cases aren't being prioritized enough by law enforcement. Law enforcement has also held a town hall leading up to today as well to talk about the issue, to say that we take this very seriously. This issue is something that's close to our hearts, and when your kid goes missing, your child goes missing, we treat it as our own. So again, this is 13-year-old Noel Tapia, and he was last seen wearing a blue shirt, sweatpants, and black Nike Air Forces. So again, if you have any information on that, make sure that you share it with investigators as soon as possible. All right, we're going to move on to another story that really shook the community. It's been a week of grieving, no doubt, for many people who knew 16-year-old Breasia Powell. You've definitely heard that name if you have been following along with Atlanta News First at all this past week, because I even went to her vigil that was held at C.T. Martin Rec Center, and there was tons of people. And I've been to several different vigils like this. You can imagine with what I do, I'm always there when it's your worst day or your best day. And this teenage girl had a tremendous impact based off the number of people that I saw there and just the words that were shared. And she was at an unauthorized graduation party when this took place, and just 16 years old. She was one of 2 teens shot that night. The other teen was taken to the hospital where he's recovering. But tonight, family and friends finally said their final goodbyes. But I want to take you into this moment that I experienced myself on the ground, reporting on what happened at this vigil, because that's when you will be able to hear from her mother. We wanted to make sure that we are giving her family the respect that they deserve, especially on a day like today when they have to say goodbye to their loved one. And we did send a reporter to the Passover event, again, going to be making sure we keep that distance from the family so that they can grieve, but as well as making sure that we're getting this out to the community. But I thought that it would be important to at least show you how we got to this moment today, because we have seen many city leaders come around this. Mayor Andre Dickens was out there. Council member Antonio Lewis was out there, and he also told me that this was his niece. So again, just really showing how this can impact all of us, and I want to let you hear from them.
It hurts, y'all. I'm hurt. Y'all know.
Another Atlanta mother has to bury her child.
Have mercy. God, no, that was my baby.
Have mercy.
My superstar.
Nicole Williams says her 16-year-old daughter, Breasia Powell, was one of 2 teens shot at an unauthorized post-graduation party outside Benjamin E. Mays High School Saturday night. A 16-year-old boy was taken to the hospital where he is recovering, but Breasia died at the hospital. Hundreds gathering for a vigil Wednesday to celebrate her life. City leaders saying Powell was powerful, a popular student athlete among Atlanta youth.
Right here at C.T. Martin Rec Center, she was a role model.
Secondly, she was involved in midnight basketball.
But Atlanta City Council member Keisha Waite says midnight basketball is not enough, and Atlanta needs a curfew.
This young lady, life well lived, so young.
District 12 Atlanta City Council member Antonio Lewis says he's Brieja's uncle. He's devastated. He wants justice, and he wants an early curfew in place for children 16 and younger. The council member is not alone.
Yeah, because it's like now you can't even go to a party or like have fun without worrying that something bad's going to happen. You know, she was just being a teenager. She was just being a kid, having fun, and her life got taken from her.
Just being a teenager and having fun, and her life got taken away from her. Those were words shared by her friend with myself when I was out there, and this was something that really encapsulated the eyes of parents according to city leaders. You heard a bit from Keisha Waits there, and you also heard a bit from Antonio Lewis, who of course said that this was his niece. And this is something that has now brought upon the issue again about an earlier curfew. If you're unaware, this was something that was news to me as well, that there is currently a curfew in place in the city of Atlanta for teens 16 and under. That curfew currently is at 11 p.m. according to City Council member Keisha Waits. When I was interviewing her, she was talking about the fact that, yes, this is in place. I tried to introduce legislation that would bring about an earlier curfew because so many parents are always coming up to me saying, what's going on? What can we do? And Keisha Wade says that she often tells those parents that the city is failing Atlanta youth right now by not implementing a earlier curfew. And that's why she says, in light of what happened, she says that her friends and family members of Brieja Powell should have never had to go through this. And she really thinks that that's the reason why it's so important to bring this issue back to city leaders and try to get this legislation passed through committee so that there will be an earlier curfew in place. Now, she did discuss some of the different times that have been discussed at the table among city leaders, including 7 p.m., 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., but she did say that it didn't have the support that it needed because she said that the data was not showing that there was a need for this to be put in place. And when I asked her, what do you mean the data wasn't in place? She says that's data that we would get from the Atlanta Police Department, and that data would have had to support the narrative that there was something very urgent going on in a sense where we would need that, and the numbers didn't align and didn't match up with that need. So now going back to the drawing table again, we'll see what Keisha Waits is able to do and whether or not she's able to get this passed. When I spoke to Antonio Lewis, he obviously has a connection, a family connection to what happened here. And he also said that he's in favor of an earlier curfew. So I will be following this issue very closely, and we will see what we get from our reporter, Asia Wilson, who was sent to the Passover event. And we'll see if we hear from more family and friends that attended today at the funeral service that was also held prior to the Passover. And we'll make sure to share it with you right here. All right, so just want to move on a bit, a little bit lighter news. We all love that, and I love when we can do anything for our kiddos. Since we're still in the realm of high school students, this is a perfect segue into talk about Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp. And they were out today. Check them out. I'll let this roll for you. They were celebrating valedictorians in our community. They invited high schoolers from all across the state that are valedictorians and who have achieved this success and this milestone in their life. And it was other higher education leaders were also in place for this, to speak to these students, to congratulate them, and really just celebrate them. I'm going to move the super just so that we can show you those big smiles. Love honoring education, and this group has had it very hard, right? We know that so many teens in our community went through COVID-19. They saw George Floyd happen. I had my niece graduate from high school, and I was just so proud of her because I know that this was not easy for teens in our community. This was not something that they expected to have to go through. They had to be creative. They had to learn from home at times. They had to do everything virtually. So anytime we can celebrate our students, I think that it's exciting. And you saw that Governor Brian Kemp was doing that in a big way at Georgia State University today, inviting all those students in one place. So just want to make sure we share the good news with you as well. Also, this is another story that I was about to cover, but then it changed a little bit. We had some issues on the date, and it's kind of been a bit of a rocky, windy road to get to this moment for Atlanta rapper Rick Ross, excuse me. And so today, finally, the car show that so many people have been anticipating. Let's make sure that we show you this. This is some video that we were able to get from our Atlanta News First chopper flying over. Just look at how many cars were out there today at this event. And not just cars, but bike enthusiasts too could get out there and have a good time with one another. And this also had a lot of concern from his neighbors, though, and community members in Fayette County who were concerned about noise and traffic in the area. And our reporter Bridget Spencer went to this event, and she is not back, or she just got back about 30 minutes ago because of just how bad she says the traffic was trying to get out of this event. We also know that investigators also confirmed with us that a car was being lifted into this community and hit some utility wires. So this has been a little bit of a controversy leading up to the Promised Land, is what they call it. That's the name of his mansion. And so this was a way for Rick Ross to bond over cars with car enthusiasts and bike enthusiasts in our community. So we're going to see, peel back the layer, maybe get down on the ground, touch down there in just a little bit. I'll be working on bringing you an inside look into how that all transpired out there today. Maybe we'll hear from people around that neighborhood who may have wanted to speak to us, but really you're going to have to take a look at that video that she was able to obtain from the scene and just how that all transpired. You can see some food trucks were out there, so I bet it was a good time, but traffic nightmare possibly as well. So that is what at least our reporter was telling us. It was quite the hold down there as far as traffic. So we are going to be keeping a close eye on that, as well as our other stories that we're working on tonight. And we'll make sure to share everything we have with you right here. And of course, in our newscast, so make sure you tune in. We're getting things jazzed up for 9 o'clock and as well as 6 o'clock. We do have a 6 o'clock show with Miss Carly Barnett, who will be bringing you an inside look and deeper dive into some of the stories I just mentioned. And we'll keep you glued in on everything that's taking place in our community all throughout the day and this evening. All right, have a great day.